Trasadasyu, who was the father of Anaranya. Anaranya's son was Haryasva, the father of Praruna. Praruna was the father of Tribandana. Text 5 and 6. The son of Tribandana was Satyavrata, who is celebrated by the name Trisanku because he kidnapped the daughter of a Brahmana when she was being married. His father cursed him to become a Chandala, lower than a Sudra. Thereafter, by the influence of Vishwamitra, he went up to the higher planetary system, the heavenly planets, in his material body, but because of the prowess of the demigods, he fell back downward. Nonetheless, by the power of Vishwamitra, he did not fall all the way down. Even today, he can still be seen hanging in the sky, head downward. That's terrible. Text 7. The son of Trisanku was Harishchandra. Because of Harishchandra, there was a quarrel between Vishwamitra and Vasistha, who for many years fought one another, having been transformed into birds. Oh, that's interesting. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vishwamitra and Vasistha were always inimical. Formerly, Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya, and by undergoing severe austerities, he wanted to become a Brahmana. But Vasistha would not agree to accept him. In this way, there was always disagreement between the two. Later, however, Vasistha accepted him because of Vishwamitra's quality of forgiveness. Once Harishchandra performed a yajna for which Vishwamitra was the priest, but Vishwamitra, being angry at Harishchandra, took away all his possessions, claiming them as claiming them as a contribution of dakshina. Vasistha, however, did not like this, and therefore a fight arose between Vasistha and Vishwamitra. The fighting became so severe that each of them cursed the other. One of them said, "May you become a bird," and the other said, "May you become a duck." Thus, both of them became birds and continued fighting for many years because of Harishchandra. We can see that such a great mystic yogi as Sobari became a victim of sense gratification. And such great sages as Vasistha and Vishwamitra became birds. This is the material world. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartinu Virjana. Within the material world or within the universe, however elevated one may be in material qualities, one must suffer the conditions of birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Therefore, Krishna says that this material world is simply miserable. Dukhalayam asasvatam. The Bhagavatam says, Padam Padam Yat Vipadam. At every step, there is danger. Therefore, because the Krishna consciousness movement provides the opportunity for the human being to get out of the material world simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this movement is the greatest benediction in human society. Wow, I agree with that. Text 8. Harishchandra had no son and was therefore extremely morose. Once, therefore, following the advice of Narada, he took shelter of Varuna and said to him, "My lord, I have no son. Would you kindly give me one?" Text 9. O King Parikshit, Harishchandra begged Varuna, "My lord, if a son is born to me, with that son shall I perform a sacrifice for your satisfaction?" When Harishchandra said this, Varuna replied, "Let it be so." Because of Varuna's benediction, Harishchandra begot a son named Rohita. Text number 10. One second. Thereafter, when the child was born, Varuna approached the Harishchandra. Varuna approached Harishchandra and said, "Now you have a son. With this son, you can offer me a sacrifice." In answer to this, Harishchandra said, "After 10 days have passed since an animal's birth, the animal becomes fit to be sacrificed." Text 11. After 10 days, Varuna came again and said to Harishchandra, "Now you can perform the sacrifice." Harishchandra replied, "When an animal grows teeth, then it becomes pure enough to be sacrificed." Text 12. When the teeth grew, Varuna came and said to Harishchandra, "Now the animal has grown teeth, and you can perform the sacrifice." Harishchandra replied, "When all his teeth have fallen out, then it will be fit for sacrifice." Text 13. When the teeth had fallen out, Varuna returned and said to Harishchandra, "Now the animal's teeth have fallen out, and you can perform the sacrifice." But Harishchandra replied, "When the animal's teeth grow in again, then he will be pure enough to be sacrificed." Text 14. When the teeth grew in again, Varuna came and said to Harishchandra, "Now you can perform the sacrifice." But Harishchandra then said, "Okay, when the sacrificial animal becomes a Kshatriya and is able to shield himself to fight with the enemy, then he will be purified." Text 15. Harishchandra was certainly very much attached to his son. Because of this affection, he asked the demigod Varuna to wait. Thus Varuna waited and waited for the time to come. Text 16. Rohita could understand that his father intended to offer him as the animal for sacrifice. Therefore, just to save himself from death, he equipped himself with bow and arrows and went to the forest. Text 17. When Rohita heard that his father had been attacked by dropsy due to Varuna and that his abdomen had grown very large, he wanted to return to the capital, but King Indra forbade him to do so. Text 18. King Indra advised Rohita to travel to different pilgrimages, to different pilgrimage sites and holy places, for such activities are pious indeed. Following this instruction, Rohita went to the forest for 1 year. Text number 19. In this way, at the end of the second, third, fourth, and fifth years, when Rohita wanted to return to his capital, the king of heaven, Indra, approached him as an old Brahmana and forbade him to return repeatedly, to return repeating the same words as in the previous year. Text 20. Thereafter, in the 6th year, after wandering in the forest, Rohita returned to the capital of his father. He purchased from Ajigartha his second son, named Sunasepa. Then he offered Sunasepa to his father, Harishchandra, to be used as the sacrificial animal and offered Harishchandra his respectful obeisances. Well, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. It appears that in those days a man could be purchased for any purpose. Harishchandra was in need of a person to sacrifice as the animal in a yajna and thus fulfill his promise to Varuna. And a man was purchased from another man for this purpose. Millions of years ago, animal sacrifice and slave trade both existed. Indeed, they have existed since time immemorial. Text number 22. Thereafter, the famous king Harishchandra, one of the exalted persons in history, performed grand sacrifices by sacrificing a man and pleased all the demigods. In this way, his dropsy, created by Varuna, was cured. Oh, that's terrible. Sacrificed a man. Terrible, terrible. Text 22. In that great human sacrifice, Vishwamitra was the chief priest to offer oblations. The perfectly self-realized Janmadagni had the responsibility for chanting the mantras from the Yajurveda. Vasista was the chief Brahminical priest, and the sage Ayasya was the reciter of the hymns of the Samaveda. Text 23. King Indra, being very pleased with Harishchandra, offered him a gift of a golden chariot. Suna, Suna Sepa, Suna Sepa's glories will be presented along with the description of the son of Vishvamitra. Text 24. The great sage Vishvamitra saw that Maharaj Harishchandra, along with his wife, was truthful, forbearing, and concerned with the essence. Thus, he gave them imperishable knowledge for fulfillment of the human mission. Well, that's good. Maharaja Harishchandra first purified his mind, which was full of material enjoyment, by amalgamating it with the earth. Then he amalgamated the earth with water, the water with fire, the fire with the air, and the air with the sky. Thereafter, he amalgamated the sky with the total material energy, and the total material energy with spiritual knowledge. This spiritual knowledge is realization of one's self as part of the Supreme Lord. When the self-realized spiritual soul is engaged in service to the Lord, he is eternally imperceptible and in association and inconceivable. He is eternally imperceptible and inconceivable. Thus, established in spiritual knowledge, he is completely freed from material bondage. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Descendants of King Mandhata. Okay, now we're going to hear. We're going to hear now chapter 8, the sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Deva. In this 8th chapter, the descendants of Rohita are described. In the dynasty of Rohita, in this 8th chapter, the descendants of Rohita are described. In the dynasty of Rohita, there was a king named Sagara, whose history is described in relation to Kapila Deva and the destruction of the sons of Sagara. The son of Rohita was known as Harita, and the son of Harita was Champa, who constructed a township known as Kampapuri. The son of Kampa was Sudeva, and Sudeva was and the son of Sudeva was Vijaya. The son of Vijaya was Baruka, and the son of Baruka was Rika. Bahuka, the son of Rika, was greatly disturbed by his enemies, and therefore he left home, and with his wife and weapon. And therefore he left home with his wife and went to the forest. When he died there, his wife wanted to accept the principles of sati, dying with her husband. But when she was about to die, a sage named Orva found that she was pregnant and forbade her to do so. The co-wives of this wife of Bahuka gave her poison with her food, but still her son was born with the poison. The son was therefore unnamed. The son was therefore named Sagara. Sa means with, and Gara means poison. Following the instructions of the great sage, or King Sagara reformed many clans, including the Yavanas, Sakas, Hayas, and Barbaras. The king did not kill them, but reformed them. Then again, following the instructions of Orva, King Sagara performed a Asvamedha sacrifice. Asvamedha sacrifice says, but the horse needed for such a sacrifice was stolen by Indra. Indra's envious, the king of heaven. King Sagara had two wives named Sumati and Kesini. While searching for the horse, the sons of Sumati extensively dug up the surface of the earth and in this way dug a trench, which later neutral, became known as the Sagara Ocean. In the course of this search, they came upon the great personality Kapila Deva and thought him to have stolen the horse. That's not true, though. With this offensive understanding, they attacked him and were all burned to ashes.
Oh.
Kesini, the second wife of King Sagara, had a son named Asamanjasa, whose son Amsuman later searched for the horse and delivered his uncles. Upon approaching Kapila Deva, Amsuman saw both the horse meant for sacrifice and a pile of ashes. Amsuman offered prayers to Kapila Deva, who was very pleased by his prayers and who returned the horse. After getting back the horse, however, Amsuman still stood before Kapila Deva, and Kapila Deva could understand that Amsuman was praying for the deliverance of his forefathers. Thus, Kapila Deva offered the instruction that they could be delivered by water from the Ganges. Amsuman then offered respectful obeisances to Kapila Deva, circumambulated him, and left that place with the horse for sacrifice. When King Sagara finished his yajna, he handed over the kingdom to Amsuman, and following the advice of Orva, attained salvation. Oh, that's good. Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami continued. The son of Rohita was Harita, and Harita's son was Kampa, who constructed the town of Kampapuri. The son of Kampa was Sudeva, and his son was Vijaya. Text 2. The son of Vijaya was Baruka. Baruka's son was Rika, and Rika's son was Bahuka. The enemies of King Bahuka took away all his possessions, And therefore the king entered the order of Vanaprastha and went to the forest with his wife. Text 3. Bahuka died when he was old, and one of his wives wanted to die with him, following the sati rite. All that time, however, Orva Muni, knowing her to be pregnant, forbade her to die. Oh, that's good. Text 4. Knowing that she was pregnant, the co-wives of the wife of Bahuka conspired to give her poison with her food. But it did not act. Instead, the son was born along with the poison. Therefore, he became famous as Sagara, one who is born with poison. Sagara later became the emperor. The place known as Ganga Sagara was excavated by his sons. Text 5-6. Sagara Maharaj, following the order of his spiritual master, Orva, did not kill the uncivilized men like the Tala Jangas, uh, the Tala Jangahash, and then Yavanas, Sakas, Haihayas, and Barbaras. Instead, some of them he made dress awkwardly. Some of them he shaved clean, but allowed to wear mustaches. And some of them he left wearing loose hair. Some he half shaved. Some he left without underwear, and some without the external garments. Thus, these different clans were made to dress differently, but King Sagara did not kill them. So these were uncivilized men. They were all uncivilized. But they were spared to not be killed. And they received different types of uh, dress. Okay. Text 7. Following the instructions of the great sage Aurava, Sagara Maharaj performed Ashwamedha sacrifices and thus satisfied the Supreme Lord, who is the supreme controller, the super soul of all learned scholars, and the knower of all Vedic knowledge. The supreme personality of Godhead. But Indra, the king of heaven, stole the horse meant to be offered at the sacrifice. King Indra is a very, very tricky guy. Text 8. King Sagara had two wives, Sumati and Kesini. The sons of Sumati, who were very proud of their prowess and influence, following the order of their father, searched for the lost horse. While doing so, they dug into the earth very extensively. Yeah, so that they're going to find the horse in the lower planets. Text 9 and 10. Thereafter, in the northeastern direction, they saw the horse near the ashrama of Kapila Muni. Here is the man who has stolen the horse. Well, that's not true. Kapila didn't steal the horse. But the horse was left near him. Here is the man who has stolen the horse, they said. He is staying there with closed eyes. Certainly he is very sinful. Kill him! Kill him! Shouting like this, the sons of Sagra, 60,000, all together raised their weapons. When they approached the sage opened his eyes. Well, I think they're all going to get killed now. Text 11. By the influence of Indra, the king of heaven, the sons of Sagra had lost their intelligence and disrespected a great personality. Consequently, fire emanated from their own bodies, and they were immediately burned to ashes. Yeah, because they were extremely angry, so angry that fire burned them. Nobody else uh, burned them. Fire, the only the fire that they developed by their anger burned them. The material body is a combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. There is always fire. There is already fire within the body, and our practical experience is that the heat of this fire sometimes increases and sometimes decreases. The fire within the bodies of the sons of Sagar Maharaj became so much hotter that all of them burned to ashes. The fires, the fires increased heat. The fires' increased heat was due to their misbehavior toward a great personality. This misbehavior is called Mahad Vyatikrama. They were killed by the fire of their own bodies because of insulting a great personality. Very important. It is sometimes argued that the sons of King Sadra were burned to ashes by the fire emanating from the eyes of Kapila Muni. This statement, however, is not approved by great learned persons, for Kapila Muni's body is completely in the mode of goodness, and therefore cannot manifest the mode of ignorance in the form of anger, just as the pure sky cannot be polluted by the dust of the earth. Kapila Muni enunciated in this material world the Sankhya philosophy, which is a strong boat with which to cross over the ocean of nations. Indeed, a person eager to cross the ocean of the material world may take shelter of this philosophy. And such a greatly learned person situated on the elevated platform of transcendence, how can there be any distinction between the enemy and the friend? Purport. One who is promoted to the transcendental position, Lama Buddha, is always jubilant for Sanatma. He is unaffected by the false distinctions between good and bad in the material world. Therefore, such an exalted person is Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. That is to say, he is equal toward everyone. This distinguishing between friend and enemy, because he is on the absolute platform, free from material contamination, he is called Paratma Bhuta or Brahma Bhuta. Kapila Muni, therefore, was not at all angry at the sons of Sagar Maharaja. Rather, they were burnt to ashes by the heat of their own bodies. See, when you get angry, it's you're not burned by someone else. You burn yourself because of their anger, uh, and that anger is toward a pure devotee. Therefore, let's see, Kapila Muni therefore was not at all angry at the sons of Sagra. The sons of Sagra Maharaj. Rather, they were burnt by the ashes, by the heat of their own bodies. Among the sons of Sagra Maharaja was one named Asamanjasa, who was born from the king's second wife, Asini. The son of Asamanjasa was known as Amsuman, and he was always engaged in working for the good of Sagara Maharaj, his grandfather. Oh, well, that's good. Text 15 and 16. I'm sorry, formerly in his previous birth, Asamanjasa had been a great mystic yogi, but by bad association he had fallen from his exalted position. Now, in this life, he was born in a royal family and was Jati Smara. That is, he had the special advantage of being able to remember his past birth. Jati Smara, okay. Nonetheless, he wanted to display himself as a miscreant, and therefore he would do things that were abominable in the eyes of the public and unfavorable to his relatives. He would disturb the boys sporting in the river Sarayu by throwing them in the depths of the water. Text 17. Because Asam Manjasa engaged in such abominable activities, his father gave up affection for him and had him exiled. Then Asamanjasa exhibited his mystic power by reviving the boys and showing them to the king and their parents. After this, Asamanjasa left Ayodhya. Oh, wow, they were in Ayodhya. Asamanjasa was a Jati Smara because of his mystic power. He did not forget his previous consciousness. Thus, he could give life to the dead. By exhibiting wonderful activities in relation to the dead children, he certainly attracted the attention of the king and the people in general. Then he left that place immediately. Text 18. O King Parikshit, when all the inhabitants of Ayodhya saw that their boys had come back to life, they were astounded, and King Sagra greatly lamented the absence of his son. Text 19. Thereafter, Amsuman, the grandson of Maharaj Sagra, was ordered by the king to search for the horse, following the same path traversed by his uncles. Amsuman gradually reached the stack of ashes and found the horse nearby. Text 20. The great Amsuman saw the sage named Kapila, the saint who is an incarnation of Vishnu, sitting there by the horse. Amsuman offered him respectful obeisances, folded his hands, and offered him prayers with great attention. Well, that's very good. Amsaman said, My lord, even Lord Brahma is to this very day unable to understand your position, which is far beyond himself, either by meditation or by mental speculation. So, what to speak of others like us, who have been created by Brahma in various forms, as demigods, animals, human beings, birds, and beasts? We are completely in ignorance. Therefore, how can we know you, who are the transcendents? Purport. O scion of Bharata, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Bhagavad Gita 7.27. All living beings in the material world are influenced by the three modes of material nature. Even Lord Brahma is in the mode of goodness. Similarly, the demigods are generally in a mode of passion, and living entities lower than the demigods, such as human beings and animals, are in the mode of ignorance, or in mixed goodness, passion, and ignorance. Therefore, Amsaman wanted to explain that because his uncles, who had burnt to ashes, were under the modes of material nature, they could not understand Lord Kapila Deva, because you are beyond even the direction, even the direct and indirect intelligence of Lord Brahma. He prayed, unless we are enlightened by your lordship, it will not be possible for us to understand you. Atapite deva padam uja tvaya prashada lesanubirnita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahim no na kanya eko pi chiram vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Bhagavatam 10.14.29. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be understood by one who is favored by the Lord. The Lord cannot be understood by others. Text 22. My Lord, you are fully situated in everyone's heart, but the living entities covered by the material body cannot see you, for they are influenced by the external energy, conducted by the three modes of material nature. Their intelligence being covered by Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna, they can see only the actions and reactions of these three modes of material nature. Because of the actions and reactions of the mode of ignorance, whether the living entities are awake or sleeping, they can see only the workings of material nature. They cannot see your lordship. Purports by Srila Prabhupada. Unless one is situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, one is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. However, because the conditioned souls are influenced by material nature, they can see only the actions and reactions of material nature, but not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One, therefore, must purify himself internally and externally. Apavitra pavitrova sasva sarva vastam gato piva yasmaret mandarikaksham sa vaya vyantara suchi. To keep ourselves eternally, externally, I'm sorry, to keep ourselves externally clean, we should bathe 3 times daily. And for internal cleanliness, we must cleanse the heart by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The members of the Hare Krishnas the members of the Krishna consciousness movement must always follow this principle. Vaya Vyantara Suchi. Then it will one day be possible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face.
Harivilas.
So we must keep ourselves clean and by bathing 3 times daily. And for internal cleanliness, we must cleanse the heart by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must always follow this principle. Vaya Vyantara Suchi. Then it will one day be possible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Okay, so bathing 3 times a day and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Here it is. All right, I think we'll stop right there. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, so let me just repeat one thing because it's very, very important. Unless one is situated in the transcendental loving service of God, one is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so we have to be involved in the loving service of the Lord to understand Krishna. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. However, because the conditioned souls are influenced by material nature, they can see only the actions and reactions of material nature, but not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One therefore must purify himself internally and externally. Apavitra pavitrava sarvastam gatopiva yasmaret mandarikaksham sa ya Bhyantara. To keep ourselves externally clean, we should bathe 3 times daily. And for internal cleanliness, we must cleanse the heart by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must always follow this principle. Vaya Vyantara Suchi. Then it will one day be possible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. So, what is this? That is going to help us see the Lord face to face. Then we have to keep ourselves externally clean by bathing 3 times daily. And for internal cleanliness, we must cleanse the heart by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must always follow this principle. Vaya Vyantara Suchi. In other words, bathing 3 times a day daily. and also chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Okay. Then it will one day be possible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Okay, bathing 3 times a day and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. I think we'll stop right there. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll stop right there. And continue.
So here, here, a lot of stress has been given on cleanliness.
Yes, very important.
So 3 times it may or may not be possible sometimes, Maharaj. So what's a workaround? Like 2 times?
Well, whatever you can do, whatever you can do. It is certainly good to bathe 3 times a day. It keeps your body and mind very clean.
Very good.
Yeah.